Well, the White House raising some eyebrows after Press Secretary Jay Carney fielded a question about the chaotic Occupy Wall Street riots. The question came after protests in Oakland took a very ugly turn this weekend. Demonstrators attacking police, throwing rocks and bottles, vandalizing public property, even burning American flags. During a White House briefing, a reporter asked Mr. Carney if the protesters were taking things too far. Take a listen to his reaction.
What is your reaction, and is the administration concerned that some of these protesters are taking things too far?
Well, with regards to Oakland, that's obviously a local law enforcement matter. Here in Washington, I would refer you for specifics to the U.S. National Park Service and the U.S. Park Police. And our position has been and continues to be that we need to balance First Amendment concerns, the right to demonstrate, the right to speak freely, and with public safety concerns and public health concerns. And we understand that that local law enforcement, as well as in this case, the National Park Service and U.S. Park Police are weighing those considerations when they make these decisions, and that's appropriate.
Joining me now, Leslie Marshall, a syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor, and Lars Larson, who is also a syndicated radio host. All right, panel, thank you both so much for being here. Lars, let me start with you. Did Jay Carney drop the ball on that?
Yeah, he sure did, because this would be an easy one, you would think, for somebody like the president or his spokesman to condemn, to say that obviously it's going too far. Obviously it's putting human life at risk, both the people who live in Oakland, the police officers who have to respond to this. But remember, his boss is that old community organizer. He probably likes a little rumbling in the streets. The thing is, these are people who've never hesitated to condemn the Tea Party for all of the free speech that's done peacefully and productively and without arrests and without violence. But all of a sudden, when it comes to this kind of thing at Oakland, they can't condemn it. They couldn't say butter if they had a mouthful, and it's shameful that Carney and his boss won't do something about this. They could publicly condemn it, and Leslie ought to do it too. You know,
Leslie, the president got in trouble once before for weighing in on a law enforcement matter. Remember, in Massachusetts with the police officer, and it resulted in the beer summit. Do you think he's just gun shy now about it, choosing sides, or is this something bigger and more widespread that he should speak to?
Actually, I think it's a bit of both, because this isn't as if Occupy Wall Street is doing this in the encampments in D.C., Los Angeles, Chicago, where I am today, etc. I visited, actually, Occupy Wall Street in D.C. There was no violence. It was just cold. But in Oakland, and Oakland always has been on a national level where it comes to the Occupy Wall Street protest, the most violent of the protests. Certainly violence is not peaceable assembly. That is wrong. I do not condone it, Lars, if that makes you happy. Back from vacation, we missed you. But in addition, the president has to walk a fine line, and not just because it's an election year, Megan. You know this as an attorney. We need all the facts. I mean, the police are saying one thing. Some of the protesters are saying they were arrested illegally. Violence is wrong, but there need to be all the facts before Jay Carney just speaks out of turn. And I do think there is a bit of that,
Lars, because we had a soundbite from one of the protesters yesterday saying we did nothing violent, that the police just started unleashing tear gas on us, and so without everything, you know, discovered and on the table about exactly what led to what, should the White House be weighing in on it?
Sure, they should. I think you can tell from a distance. You look at what's going on there. I understand that there may be questions of the specific response of officers on the scene. The fact is, the president and his spokesman could come out and say, we decry any kind of violence like this. Peaceable assembly and free speech, which Jay Carney went to as the excuse for this stuff, is not an excuse for this kind of behavior. And the president, who should be setting the tone for the country, should have no problem condemning this kind of behavior that forces the police into a position where they have to respond. They have to keep order. And the fact is, these protesters know that they're provoking this kind of response, and they're doing it deliberately to make a point, to get on the news, to get whatever message out that they're trying to get out.
Leslie, does it change anything for you that it's not just, you know, a clash between the folks on the street, but in Oakland, they broke into City Hall, according to the reports. They smashed glass display cases. We have pictures of them burning the American flag. I mean, clearly things are getting out of control out there. You know, you can argue about your right to protest, but things are getting out of control out there. Should the White House, as you know, somebody who's spoken repeatedly about the 99% and talked about how we have to let them know we understand their struggles. This is talking about the Occupy folks. We have to let them know we understand their struggles. We're on their side and so on. Should he now take the opportunity to say, hold on. We don't vandalize. We don't upset, you know, community property. You don't vandalize City Hall, and you don't go after police officers.
If the facts show that all of that we are being given pieces of right now is true, no question. However,
well, what about the pictures of burning the American flag? I mean, that's do we think those are fake?
You know that I personally would never burn the American flag, but it is an American's right to do, whether they're an Occupy Wall Street protester or not.
It's a right, but should the president be staying neutral on it? You know, saying, look, let's dial it back. Let's dial back the rhetoric. Let's dial back the incendiary behavior, so to speak.
Hey, Meg.
I don't feel the president should comment on the burning of American flag because it is covered under the First Amendment. Lars, why should the president comment on the burning of the American flag? If it weren't Occupy Wall Street, you wouldn't even care.
Go ahead, Lars.
I'll tell you why. Burning the American flag is wrong. It's not illegal, and it is technically free speech, but it's wrong, and this president should speak out. But given the president's background and the church he went to in Chicago, I'm not surprised he doesn't speak out against burning an American flag. In his heart of hearts, what do you think he believes, having listened to Reverend Wright for 20 years? Well, come on, Megan. Is that fair comment? The guy sat there and listened to an anti-American pastor.
The president wants to burn American flags?
Well, he sat there in the pew for 20 years and listened to that kind of garbage.
Lars.
Why would he be unhappy about burning the American flag today?
We don't have to attack patriotism to have a meaningful debate over whether he should be condemning what we're seeing in Oakland. Let's talk about what's happening.
Why isn't he?
Well, you answer that, Leslie. Why isn't he?
Yeah.
Why isn't the president condemning the burning of the American flag, Lars? Because of what he was told in a pulpit, and I still believe in separation of church and state.
You, do you have a good reason why he's not condemning it?
Get off the grassy knoll. Lars, please. I know you're on vacation and you're revived, but I am not connecting the dots there, okay? You know, you want to talk about community service to the church.
See, Megan,
I don't feel the President of the United States should condemn an action that the Constitution allows each and every American the freedom to do, however repulsive I might find that action. That is the freedom of every American, including you and I, to do, and the President should not condemn
Leslie, you know he doesn't want to condemn it.
Listen, we got to leave it at that. For now, the White House has said what it has said, and we'll let the viewers decide. Leslie and Lars, thank you both so much.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Megan.